What happens when alpha males get punished? Q has been out of town for 2 weeks. This is my wife. Her name isn't really Q, it's Monique, but that's what I call her. It just worked out, don't ask me how, but she likes it. I call everyone I care about by their little pet names. I enjoyed my 2 weeks of freedom. I've been eating meat, lots of red bloody meat, potatoes, gravy, real vegetables like corn on the cob and onion rings are what I ate. When Q is home, we eat salmon, skinless chicken, and salads. Don't get me wrong, I love a good salad, but there is a difference between how she perceives salad and how I perceive it. My salad is iceberg lettuce, not that weird variety with all the stems and stalks. I view salad as a means to get other good things to my mouth. Things like ham, bacon bits, eggs, cheese, and ranch dressing are the must-have ingredients of a good salad. I admit that the way she feeds me has benefited my waistline, and my coronary arteries are probably much less clogged than they would be otherwise. I try to keep them open with lots of hot coffee and the occasional good bourbon. When she goes out of town, the butcher likes me to come over. It happens about once every 2 months. She's a cool computer systems consultant. People who know about that kind of stuff tell me she's the best. I'm retired. At 52, I've done my time, made a good deal, and sold my company for all the money we'll ever need. I play golf, fish, do chores around the house, spend more time at the gym than I care to talk about, and enjoy our kids. We have 2 of them, Macy and Michael. My girls are my heart, and I spend tons of time with them. They enjoy the dietary changes that come with being away from their mother as much as I do. The reason I spend all this time at the gym is because I need to. You see, I am married to one of the 10 most beautiful women in the world. My bias is spot on, but I really believe this to be true. Q is one of those exotic, dusky women. She has no idea of her ethnic background. She was dropped off on the steps of an orphanage on the Polynesian island of Tuvalu. She never knew her parents and has no idea who they were. One was clearly Polynesian, and the rest may have been African or Hispanic, who knows. Like many women of mixed ethnicity, she grew up clumsy, but became an amazing adult. I met her there. She was in college when I was working on a project. I fell in love and pursued her relentlessly until, in a fit of madness, she agreed to marry me. I set out to make sure she would never regret it. She's about 5'10", has a huge mop of lustrous curls, beautiful firm breasts that make men cry. Her face is even better. High cheekbones, full lips, huge brown eyes tucked to the outer corners, and it makes an impression when people see her for the first time. Conversations stop when she enters the room. She knows, but she's mine. She is completely and irrevocably mine. She doesn't even think about anyone else. I'm convinced of that. Since she was out of town and our daughters were out on a nature walk, I roasted a ribeye on the back patio. There were potatoes baking in the oven and dark beer in the freezer to cool the dish down a bit. I was getting ready to throw 2 cobs of corn on the grill to cook at the same time as my steak when the doorbell rang. I let out a curse and hurried to the front door. It was my neighbors, Billy and Ted. I hurriedly ushered them into the house and took them to the deck. They said they had already eaten, so I told them to go get a beer and we would talk while I ate. We made idle chatter for a while, and then Billy actually spoke. "Davis, have you met the guy who bought Ben and Mary's apartment?" "No, I haven't met him," I replied. "Why?" "Well, I'm sure you will," he said. "We're having a barbecue next Saturday and I'm sure he'll be there. I told him about Monique and he wants to meet her." Well, that was interesting. Was I being chopped liver? "Well, bully for him," I said. "Good luck with the barbecue. Q and I are heading out on the boat. He'll have to wait." "I don't think he'll like it," she said. I guess I wasn't supposed to care. "What's this guy's name?" I asked. He chuckled. "Well, his name is Mark, but he likes being called Bull." I couldn't help myself and burst into laughter. "Bull? You've got to be kidding me." "Oh, you shouldn't laugh," she said. "He's an alpha, and he won't like it if you laugh at him." I stared at him incredulously. "Is he with a Greek letter?" No, silly. He laughed. You know, like an alpha male. Oh, well, that explains it. I burst out laughing again. I turned to Ted. So what are you, Ted? Are you an alpha too? Oh, no. He looked a little depressed. I'm a beta. Are you a Japanese fighting fish? I asked. Well, I hadn't noticed the gills before. Yeah, I know it's spelled beta. I was just pulling his chain. Betas are men who are subservient to alphas, Billy obligingly explained. Alphas are dominant by nature, and betas know their place. I couldn't believe my ears. Surely no one was stupid enough to buy that nonsense. I shifted my gaze from one to the other. They weren't laughing. Okay, I'm up then. I can't wait to meet the bull. Now I have some errands to run, so you kids are going to have to run with us. Ted, good luck with the fish. I escorted them out and put my dishes in the dishwasher. Those were the chores I needed to get done. In reality, I just wanted the two idiots to leave. I chuckled to myself all evening thinking about it. Alphas and betas. It was hilarious. I couldn't wait to tell Q. She calls me every night when she's not home, and at 8 o'clock my phone rang. It was her, and I told her about my guests. She came in delighted. So, what letter do you think you're on? She giggled. I'm pretty sure I'm pie, I told her. Coconut cream, I think. No, wait, apple and vanilla ice cream. Yum, she said. Well, I have a special pie for you as soon as I get home. I hope you're hungry. Well, if it's not a cream pie, I'm hungry, I said. I don't eat cream pies whose ingredients were not personally selected and contributed by me. You know that. She giggled again. She knows I love that giggle. Well, I'm thinking about a creamless pie, just to whet your appetite, and then maybe we'll make a cream pie together just to top it off, she said. I'll get fat if I eat all these pies, I told her. I can't wait. The rest of the week dragged on. Every hour of her absence turned into centuries, and the only relief came when I met the bull on Friday. It was very pleasant. His bullish nature was obvious. He was a big guy, probably an inch taller than my height. He looked like he outweighed me by 30 pounds. His skin was a rich chocolate brown color, and while I don't usually admire dreadlocks, they looked natural on him. I can't imagine washing my hair only once every 3 days, but some people like to be dirty. I stopped by our neighbor Don's house to return my angle grinder that he had borrowed. He's the kind of guy who never has the right tools, so he borrows them and never returns them. I went and got them. The bull was in Don's garage when I arrived. He introduced me to Mark, a.k.a. Bull. Hey, Davis, do you know our neighbor Mark? He asked. We all call him Bull. Mark, it's really nice to meet you, I said pleasantly. I extended my hand to him. Bick, he said. It came out a little high and squeaky, so he cleared his throat and made his voice deep and gravelly. You can call me Bick, he said. He took my hand and tried to squeeze it. I matched him, but I didn't try very hard. When you do powerlifting, you develop a pretty good grip if you don't use straps. No, I even like Mark, I said. I like being called Bull, he growled. And I like being called Davis, the Destroyer, I said. He scowled at me fiercely. I ignored him after that. Don was watching, his mouth open about a foot. Something wrong, Don? I asked. Say, poke around in there and find my angle grinder. I need to replace the tile before Q gets home. He closed his mouth and led me back to his workbench. Don't piss him off, Davis, he whispered. He's the alpha. How do you know? I asked. He looked around nervously. He told us, he whispered. Keep your voice down. Okay, I whispered. Hey, Don, I talked to Q about it. I'm P. Dot. He gave me a weird look, but I didn't have time for chit-chat. I grabbed my mashie and went home. Maybe I'll see you again, Mark, I said as I walked out of the garage. That elicited another fierce grin from me. My daughters had bestowed fierce looks on me many times before, so this was just water off a duck's back. I dreaded the girls' frowns. They were dangerous creatures. Over the years, one of those frowns had too often lightened my wallet. The doll's smiles were even worse. I wondered if the bull could handle a chrysalis smile. I replaced the tiles, cleaned up the house, and destroyed all the incriminating evidence in the form of beef and pork chops in the refrigerator. Everything was ready for the Queen's return. I was sitting in a chair watching ESPN when she burst into the house like a hurricane. When she saw me, she squealed, and I barely had time to get to my feet before she pounced on me like a pack of lionesses. My attempt to express my pleasure at her return was cut short by her plump lips digging into mine. By the time she let go of me, I was panting and weak in the knees. "Hey, Tiger, are the girls home?" she asked. I regained the ability to speak. No. They went to the movies." "Good," she growled. "Take my suitcase to the bedroom. I have something for you." Gifts. I love presents. Her suitcase weighed a whole ton. Good thing it had wheels. I couldn't imagine her lifting it. I carried it into the bedroom and set it on the little table. When I turned around, she had already taken off her jacket and was undoing the buttons on her white blouse. When they came undone, the creamy brown skin underneath made a delightful contrast to the white silk. "What are you doing?" she asked. "Don't just stand there. I'm horny as a goat. Take your clothes off, asshole." I didn't need to be told twice. Next, we made love. God, I'm glad she's home. I had dinner ready, and it just needed to be put together. We sat around the table, basking in the aftertaste and enjoying the girls. They went off to do their homework, and Q and I snuggled together on the couch. She told me about everything she'd done, and I showed her the tile I'd replaced. "That's great, Davis," she said. "I knew I married you for a reason. You know how to handle tools." "Yes, I do," I said. "With all kinds of tools." "You're a very unpleasant person," she said. The giggling sounded again. The next morning, I was changing the lawnmower blade and Q was tending to her flowers. She was standing around the corner and I couldn't see her, but I could hear her talking to someone. I listened and recognized Bull's artificially deep tone. He was introducing himself. "Now that's a picture," he said. "You are as beautiful as your flowers. My name is Mark, but everyone calls me Bull." There was a slight hesitation, and I looked out from around the corner. Q saw me and winked. "How cute for you," she said. "Angus or brown Swiss?" I almost choked. "Ah?" Bull wasn't so quick on the tongue. He looked puzzled. "Is there anything I can do for you?" she asked. "You can do a lot of things for me," he growled. "Well, I'm a little busy right now," she said. "I'll try to keep in mind what you can do for me. Perhaps I'll think of it when I go to the butcher shop. Now go." The bull was stunned. He obviously wasn't used to being dismissed so easily, but he couldn't think of what to say. As it was, Q ignored him, going back to spreading mulch. I watched as he fled. As soon as he reached the driveway, she ran into the garage, laughing at the top of her lungs. "Did you see him?" she gasped. "God, what a loser. That bull. I haven't had this much fun in weeks." I was a little taken aback to hear this, and she noticed the look on my face. "Oh, baby. Of course, yesterday afternoon. Let's get in the shower, and I'll show you some fun." The shower was fun, but her periodic fits of giggles distracted me a bit. We missed the barbecue. We had a great time on the boat, though. I watched my 3 gorgeous girls do tricks on water skis. If Bull was disappointed, we were quite pleased. When I got back from golf Sunday night, Billy was there. She was in the kitchen with Q, drinking coffee at the bar. "You've got to be kidding," I heard Q say. "No, he's really joking," Billy said. "How do you know?" asked Q. "He told us." I couldn't help myself. I burst into a huge laugh, and it pissed Q off. Billy looked very hurt and ran away. Q and I laughed heartily and spent some time talking. We decided that we had some strange and gullible neighbors. The ones that live next door to us to the south, Ray and Norma, are semi-normal. Except for the stupid dog that barks all night, they don't bother us. I have a solution for the dog. I have a shotgun with bullets, And I just barred the window and gave him a nice surprise when he barked under our bedroom window one night. He learned quickly. Now all I have to do is pull back the curtain at the headboard of our bed, and he runs over to the other side of their house, maintaining an unnoticeable silence for the rest of the night. I would like to use a shotgun with slugs on our neighbors to the north, Brad and Glenda. Through my wife's efforts, I'm holding back for now. I have bigger guns, too. They don't bark at night, but they annoy me just as much. Brad is an obnoxious asshole. You know the type. He was a big soccer star in high school. I think he was pretty good. He got a scholarship to a big soccer university, but he flunked out. Too slow, too weak, you know how it is. He claims he hurt his knee, and that's the only thing that kept him out of the NFL. He remembers his glory days and becomes a legend in his own mind, just another teenager who never grew up. Glenda was probably the captain of the cheerleading squad. She remembers what a hero he was and lets everyone know. She's attractive in a way, big boobs, blonde hair, salon blonde, and her face is nice. She's a little spread out, but that's okay. I was cleaning the pool, and Glenda was talking to Q over the back fence. I was interested to see what they thought of Bull. Brad was macho, and I imagined he fancied himself some kind of Greek letter. I thought Omega. The confrontation between Brad and Bull should be interesting. I wondered how he could be provoked. I had some ideas. I walked over to the fence. "Hi, Glenda," I said. "Is Brad home?" "He'll be home tomorrow," she said. "They called in a double shift to try to finish work at the refinery. Brad is a pipe fitter." "Have you had a chance to meet Bick yet?" I asked innocently. She looked around nervously, then laughed. "Yeah, I have." "What an asshole." "You mean you admire him or he's an asshole?" I asked. Her syntax was a little unclear. She looked at me incomprehensibly for a second. "Your syntax was a little unclear," I clarified. "Syntax?" Her mouth dropped open slightly. "You mean booze taxes?" She wasn't the sharpest knife in the drawer. Q made such snorting noises it was hard to focus. "Do you like the way his body looks, or do you think he's an asshole?" I said it slowly. She laughed. "Oh, well, he's like a total asshole." My estimate of her intelligence went up about 30 IQ points. "Don't mention him in front of Brad." She giggled. That giggle did interesting things to her highly visible cleavage. "I thought they were going to fight." "How do you feel about knocking him down a peg?" I asked. Her eyes sparkled. "What do you have in mind?" I pulled Q to me, and we huddled together. I had to repeat everything several times, and for Glenda, and not Q. But both girls were absolutely thrilled when Glenda grasped the details. She couldn't wait to tell Brad. He called the next evening when he got home. "What are you up to, Davis?" he asked. "I can't understand what Glenda is saying. Something about having to rein in that jackass Mark." "I think he prefers to be called Bull," I remarked. "He'll be called Beef in boxes if he sticks up for Glenda again," he muttered. This was great. I told Brad the details of my plan, and he seemed to like the idea. It wouldn't be that hard to get organized. A couple days later, Billy stopped by and things got going. Q invited Billy to go swimming on Friday. They got their heads together and decided to invite Glenda. Everything went great, but Glenda wanted to change the venue to her own. Brad was supposedly going to be out of town that Friday. Billy happened to mention how good Bull looked in a suit, and the decision was made. "You really think he can handle 3 hot moms?" I heard Q chuckle. "Oh, yeah," Billy smirked. I wondered if she knew this from personal experience, or if she'd learned it straight from the bull's mouth, so to speak. I shook my head. Mixing metaphors threw me off my thought process for a while. I brushed it off, grinning to myself. Shortly after Billy left, Q peeked into my office. She pulled another chair over, slipped her feet out of her flip-flops, and placed them in my lap. Those muscular brown legs were irresistible, and I couldn't resist running my hands up and down the silky skin on display. "What are you doing?" she asked. Nothing," I replied. Just looking for adult movies. Oh yeah, can I watch it? She asked. No, I replied. I wouldn't want to tarnish you. She giggled. Tell me something, she said. Do you think there are people in the world who believe this dog shit stuff about alphas and betas, or take it seriously? She laughed at her own pun. I think it's mostly just harmless fantasy, I said. When people start taking it seriously, trouble starts. Some people are too dumb to know the difference. Have you ever fantasized about me being with other men? She asked. Well, I think I did once, I told her. We were making love, and you were making the sounds you make. I wondered how someone else would feel being with you, hearing you like that. She smiled. Have you ever fantasized about being with other men? God, no. She shook her head, and all those curls jumped around, hypnotizing me for a moment. I mean, I like to get attention like any other girl, but you're my man, Davis. Believe me, I'm in complete control. If you ever catch me with another man, save me because I'm being used. We laughed. The thought of someone using Q was pretty funny. That's a dangerous woman. I was very afraid of her. Michael walked in and interrupted this conversation. Dad, I need to change the oil in the car, he said. I called and made an appointment for her. I gave her $50. She stood there with the $50 bill in her hand and looked at it like she'd never seen it before. Is something wrong? I asked. Well, I was hoping I could use the change to buy something more than a sandwich off the dollar menu at McDonald's, she said. You know they're not worth $1 anymore, right? She looked at me with doll-like eyes. I immediately lost my ability to think coherently and held out another $50 to her. That got me a kiss, and I decided it was a great investment. The weekend flew by quickly, and we had some things to do. Thursday night, I ended up at Brad's place helping him dig. We had 2 4x4s with grooves cut in them, and we carefully measured, setting them in the ground on each side of his front porch, just beyond the bottom step of the porch. Bick was in his driveway playing basketball with a couple of guys I didn't recognize. He came up to us after his posse left. Brad flinched like a cat from static electricity. Are you guys building something? Bulls are curious creatures. Just putting up lights, I told him. He nodded and seemed to lose interest, racing back across the street with the ball. After a while, he drove off, and Brad and I hurried to my garage. A while back, a tree branch had fallen from the maple tree in the backyard, blowing a hole in the window at the back of the garage. I bought a large piece of plexiglass, cut it to the size of the window, and had quite a bit left over. I trimmed it to size and we took it, sliding it into the grooves cut in the 4x4. It fit perfectly, nice and tight. We stepped back to admire our work, and then Brad started shaking. It turned into a huge animal laugh, and we were almost too weak to carry the sheet of plexiglass back to my garage when the laughing stopped. Friday was a beautiful day. I woke up to a dusky angel sliding down on me, and it wasn't until an hour and a half later that I managed to drag myself out of bed and into the shower. The girls got up and left after another hour, and Q came out of the bedroom, dressed in an orange and yellow pool dress and carrying her small bag. Her hips swayed seductively as she walked over and kissed me. "What are you wearing there?" I asked, pulling the garment apart to take a look. It was amazing. An electric blue bikini I hadn't seen before. I started to unwrap it, but she shoved my hands away. "No touching," she said. "You're in for a treat after this, hubby." She disappeared into the next room just as I saw Brad's truck pull away. Glenda was standing in the doorway waving to Brad, wearing a little red bikini, almost identical to Q's. I saw Billy walking down the sidewalk and knew the game was on. I went upstairs to Macy's room. It overlooked Brad and Glenda's backyard, and I had a cold beer while I waited. The ladies showed up with a cooler. Q was carrying chips and dip, and Billy was carrying something that looked like a plate of brownies. They hung around for a bit, and then the gate opened. Bick, in all his glory, entered the pool area. I watched him for a bit and saw the ladies taking off their swim trunks and slathering each other with sunscreen. Bull dropped his shorts and pulled off his shirt. He was wearing some of the most ridiculous yellow briefs I'd ever seen. Sure, they all look ridiculous, and no self-respecting man would ever be caught off guard in one of those, but these, I hoped they wouldn't hear me laugh. Q told me later that she could hardly contain her glee when she asked him if he had a banana in his pants. If only I could have been there. Fortunately, the window wasn't open. It was an hour before the party really heated up. Everyone got hot enough to jump in the pool, and Bick never missed an opportunity to touch a woman's body. He stood with his back leaning against the side of the pool, and Billy stood in front of him and pounced on him. Well, in this case, wet. Q and Glenda stood on either side of him, admiring him. Someone must have said something because they climbed out of the pool and went into the house. I texted Brad, "Showtime!" I went to the garage, got a sheet of plexiglass, and set to work. I set it up without difficulty and screwed in a couple of screws for the deck, securing it firmly in place. I heard the sound of Brad's diesel engine in the alley behind the house and went to the window to look. There was music playing. It was soft, but I could hear it through the window. Billy, with no clothes on, was hooting to the beat in front of Bull, who was taking off his yellow briefs at the same time. It was an impressive horn. The patio door leading to the pool was open, and I saw Brad step inside. He pulled out a shotgun from behind a china cabinet that was right in front of the door. Glenda and Q were sitting on the couch watching an impromptu dance show, giggling like demons. Brad twitched the slide of his Wingmaster 870 12-gauge shotgun. Nothing attracts attention like the sound of a pump-action shotgun going off. It certainly got the attention of everyone in the living room. "What's going on here?" exclaimed Brad. Glenda and Q jumped up from the couch with shrieks. "No, Brad, don't kill him!" shouted Q. "It's not what it looks like." I laughed at that cliché. Isn't that what all cheating wives are supposed to say? "You're dead, asshole!" Brad growled toward Bull. This top-notch alpha male had suddenly discovered his inner beta, and in the eternal struggle between fight and flight, Bull had decided that caution was indeed the better part of valor. His sprint was simply Olympian. I had heard that the ancient Greeks competed in the nude, and Bull would have made them proud. I walked over to the front door and swung it open, just in time for Bull to dash for the exit. He didn't stop to thank me. I heard the roar of a gun, and that seemed to be the impetus for all the cattle to leave the neighborhood. The bull came down the steps with the speed of thunder. His swift dash was stopped by the plexiglass. There was a crack of thunder, and the bull fell as if he had been struck with a pole. His head hit the ground next to the sidewalk, and he lay there without moving. For a minute I thought he was dead, but I saw that his chest was moving as he breathed. An unexpected bonus was that Billy jumped outside, literally, and crashed into the plexiglass, joining the sleeping Alpha. Brad went outside at a much more leisurely pace, followed by Q and Glenda. They carried Billy to her house and laid him on the front lawn, while Brad and I did the same with Bull. He weighed a whole ton. The amazing horn seemed to have sustained some damage from the collision with the plexiglass and looked a little concussed. It may not have been vocal, but no one would have confused it for a longhorn. We took the plexiglass home, loosened the screws, and headed out to the lake. We had a great time, and I had a new appreciation for Brad and Glenda. I decided not to take any pictures of them until the following week. When we got home, there was a police cruiser waiting outside Brad and Glenda's house. They immediately arrested Brad for discharging a firearm within city limits and making terroristic threats. I went down and bailed him out. The charges quickly evaporated when the ladies and I testified that no guns had been discharged and the police could find no evidence that they had been discharged. The night before, Brad and I opened the shell casings and removed the pellets from them. Glenda and Q found the wads and we took the gun to the lake, dropping it in the river on the way. 3 weeks later, Brad bought me a new one. The bull? He moved in the next week. I guess the herd of heifers in our neighborhood was a little out of control to suit his tastes. Billy and Ted divorced within a year. I guess they never could find the right Greek letters. Q and I are doing well, and we still live next door to Brad and Glenda. Every anniversary we get together to celebrate the bull pen. I decided not to shoot them, even though I was so excited to try out the new 870. I'm taking Q with me to South Dakota to hunt pheasants. I wonder if we'll encounter any bison. The end. Subscribe to my channel. Thank you.